Let's start with a hard truth. Most of the people you know are actually just collections of bad habits wearing a human suit. They wake up, react to their phone, consume sugar, complain about the weather, and then wonder why the universe hasn't delivered a miracle to their doorstep. You used to be one of them. That's why you're here. You realize that self-care was just a marketing term for staying comfortable, and you decided to trade your comfort for a cage. But here's what the rise and grind influencers don't tell you. Discipline isn't a warm hug. It's a cold, clinical separation from a herd. It's the realization that once you decide to be more, you inherently become less to everyone else. You become the buzzkill at the party because you're thinking about your 5 a.m. alarm. You become the arrogant one because you stopped entertaining conversations about Netflix and started talking about margins. Welcome to the dark side of discipline. It's lonely, it's quiet, and it's the only place where you're actually free. There's a specific, haunting moment in the journey of self-mastery. It happens about 6 months in. You'll be standing in a grocery store or sitting in a meeting, and you'll look at the person next to you. And for the first time, you won't see a peer. You'll see a prisoner. You see the way they lean into their own limitations, like a favorite crutch. They say things like, "I'm just not a morning person," or "I could never start a business in this economy." They aren't stating facts. They are building the walls of their own cell, brick by psychological brick. And here's the dark part. You can't relate to them anymore. When they complain about their burnout while holding a $7 latte and scrolling through 4 hours of TikTok screen time, you don't feel empathy. You feel a strange, cold attachment. You realize that their plight is a choice. You see the bars of the cage they've built, and you realize they've locked it from the inside. The amateur will try to argue with them. The novice will try to save them. But the truly disciplined, they do the scariest thing of all. They just stare. You stop. You look at the box they've climbed into. You realize they have no intention of leaving. And then you simply turn around and go back to your work. Those who won't help themselves are not to be helped. They are to be observed as a cautionary tale. It's a cold way to live, but you can't carry someone else's cross when you're busy carrying your own. Discipline kills your ability to small talk. When you spend your night studying market cycles or pushing your resting heart rate to its limit, you lose the gift of being able to discuss the mundane. The world loves relatability. They adore the guy who says, "Man, I'm so lazy today." That guy is safe. That guy makes everyone else feel okay about their own mediocrity. But you're a mirror. When you walk into a room with a sharp mind and a body that clearly reflects effort, you're a walking reminder of everything they could be but aren't. They will call you obsessed. They will call you intense. They might even call you boring. Take it as a compliment. Boring is what people who lack a mission call people who actually have it. Let's talk about your brain. While the rest of the world is busy being farmed for their attention, you've staged a coup. The average person is a walking open circuit. They are wired for the hit. A notification pings, dopamine. A sugary snack, dopamine. A mindless argument with a stranger on the internet, dopamine. They are essentially lab rats pressing a lever, unaware that the lever is attached to nothing but their own decay. They have cheap dopamine flowing through their veins, and it has made them soft, reactive, and ultimately controllable. But the dark side of discipline? It creates a new kind of biology. You've moved from the cheap dopamine of consumption to the expensive dopamine of production. Expensive dopamine isn't free. You have to pay for it up front with sweat, boredom, and a level of focus that would make a modern smartphone user physically uncomfortable. You get your hit when the project is finished, when the weight is lifted, or when the bank account hits a number that used to feel like a typo. This creates a massive rift. Because you no longer value what they value, you become a biological alien. While they're chasing the next 15-second thrill, you are chasing a 10-year legacy. They look at you and see a monk. You look at them and see a glutton. You'll find yourself sitting in a room where everyone is laughing at a meme that isn't funny or talking about a celebrity who doesn't know they exist, and you'll feel a genuine sense of vertigo. You realize your brain has been retuned. You have become an aristocrat of the mind. Not because of your bloodline, but because of your refusal to be a digital sharecropper. You have high barrier to entry joy. And the best part? They couldn't handle your joy even if you gave it to them. It would require too much work. Now, let's address the most uncomfortable part of this journey, the funeral of your friendships. In the world of the average, loyalty is often just a suicide pact. People stay together not because they are growing, but because they've agreed to stay the same. They're a bucket of crabs, and as soon as one crab starts to reach the rim, the others don't cheer, they pull. They pull with jokes about your new diet. They pull with concern that you're working too hard. They pull with the deadliest phrase in the English language. Don't forget where you came from. But discipline teaches you that where you came from is exactly what you're trying to transcend. You'll go to family dinner or a reunion with old friends, and you'll realize that the conversation hasn't changed in 5 years. They are still complaining about the same boss. They are still reliving the same high school glory days. They are still trapped in the same loop, like a scratched record that refuses to find a new groove. And here is where the snark becomes a survival mechanism. You start to see their problems as choices. When your old friend tells you for the 10th time that he's broke, you don't offer a loan, you offer a book. When he refuses the book, you realize he doesn't want a solution. He wants a witness to his misery. This is social Darwinism 2.0. It's not about who is stronger. It's about who is more adaptable to reality. The scary part you felt earlier, that's the realization that human beings are not inherently designed to improve. Most are designed to settle. Once they find a comfortable level of dissatisfaction, they stay there. They build a nest in the mud. You, however, have lost the ability to settle. You've developed a refinement reflex. You see a mess and you clean it. You see a weakness and you train it. You see a limit and you break it. This makes you a predator in a world of prey. Not because you want to hurt them, but because your mere existence exposes their lack of effort. You don't have to say a word. Your posture, your bank account, and your silence do all the talking. You aren't leaving them behind out of malice. You're just moving at a velocity they can't sustain. You are the high-speed train, and they are the people standing on the platform, wondering why you didn't stop to pick up their luggage. Let's stop pretending it's all cinematic shots of sunrise and high fives from a universe. The dark side of discipline has a physical weight. It is exhaustion of excellence. When you decide to be the person who never misses, you lose the right to have a bad day. The average man wakes up, feels a slight tickle in his throat or a heaviness in his spirit, and decides the world can wait. He calls in sick to his life, and the world, being equally mediocre, forgives him. But you've built a reputation with the most unforgiving judge in existence, yourself. You have reached a point where the guilt of laziness is more painful than the fatigue of the work. That is a terrifying place to be. It means you are hunted by your own potential. You are in a permanent state of tension between who you are and who you could be. This is a grit that the aesthetic videos don't show you. It's the 9 p.m. Tuesday when your eyes are burning. Your back is aching, and you realize you still have 2 hours of deep work left before you've earned the right to sleep. It's the social isolation that comes when you realize that most people's idea of fun is just a slow form of suicide, and you'd rather be alone with your ambitions and crowded with their distractions. There is a specific kind of loneliness that exists at the top of a mountain. It's windy, the air is thin, and there's nobody there to tell you good job. You have to be your own cheerleader, your own coach, and your own executioner. You have to learn to find comfort in the discomfort. You have to fall in love with the suck. Why? Because the alternative is the standard life. And to you, the standard life looks like a slow-motion car crash. You've seen the end of that movie. It ends with a gold watch, a mortgage, and a heart full of what-ifs. You've traded the exhaustion of work for the exhaustion of regret. And while both are heavy, only one leads to a throne. So, here we are at the end of the manual. If you've listened this far, you're either already one of us, or you're terrified of winning. The final truth is this. Discipline is not a self-help tool. It is an act of war against a world that wants you weak. The world doesn't want you disciplined. It wants you predictable. It wants you to be a reliable consumer, a compliant employee, and a quiet citizen. It wants you to stay in the box. When you break out, you become the sovereign individual. You are no longer a victim of the economy, a victim of your upbringing, or a victim of your impulses. You are the architect. But remember what we said at the beginning. Those who won't help themselves are not to be helped. Do not waste your newfound strength trying to pull people out of their boxes. They like their boxes. The boxes are warm. The boxes have Netflix. Instead, use your strength to build a life so undeniable that it serves as a silent lighthouse. You don't need to preach. You don't need to argue. You just need to exist. The scariest thing about the dark side of discipline isn't that you'll be alone. It's the realization that you were always alone. You just finally stopped using other people as a distraction from that fact. Now look at the time. You spent 11 minutes listening to a voice on the internet. That's enough consumption for today. The box is waiting for you to climb back in, or you can turn off the screen, walk into the dark, and get to work. The world is full of spectators. Stop watching. Start haunting them with your success. Go.